Hi there and welcome back to Japan for another reaction and review. As always, just in case you didn't know, this is the review video. If you want to see the reaction that I've just done, pause this video, click the little link in the description below. It'll open up separate little players so you can see the reaction with me. And basically, in case you haven't heard the song before, or if you just want to see how I reacted the first time I heard it. Anyway, if you haven't already done that, do it now because here comes my review. You ready? Review time. Okay, so Vivid Undress, this is a group who I got a lot of requests to check out more of them after hearing that first song. And the first song we heard had this kind of pop rock, but very jazzy quality. It was all about the music, it was all about the detail, all about the intricacy, and, you know, very heartfelt. And so in a way, I guess the rather obvious things you kind of expect to be working from a similar palette when you move into the second song that you hear by a band. However, I'm always a big sucker for variation. I love any group who can carry off more than one sound. I think, you know, a good album should have a variation on it. It should sound like a bunch of songs that fit together somehow, but you almost don't know how they're doing it. That's a really good album. So hearing that their second song was almost indistinguishable from, you know, being like a J-pop dance pop group was kind of refreshing. Now, do I think this is as good as the other song? Well, I'll get onto that a little bit more later, but I've got to admit, it certainly isn't as immediately as impressive as the other song. However, I was more impressed at just how different it was, and I was more just refreshed at the fact they were pulling off a second sound. This makes me even more keen to listen to more Vivid Undress, because if they are a group who covers a range of sounds with that kind of level of quality, then that's going to be really interesting. And quality is the first thing I've mentioned here. This was, okay, yeah, it's of a sound and a style of music that could be taken as being, like I say, less impressive at first, you know, not so technically or musicianship-wise noticeably impressive. But there is a quality with this type of music about picking the right sounds. And with a lot of sort of synthesized sounds going into this, and, you know, with you still having an actual rock band in there as well, it's difficult to get the right balance so that you don't overly play your band elements and squash the more dancey, poppy, fun qualities, and at the same time you don't want to go into a sort of cheesy or tone-deaf form of pop. This was, like I say, very nostalgic. It reminded me of J-pop from about 15 or 20 years ago, maybe even go back to the 90s. The kind of synthesizers that were used, the slightly twee synthesizers, a lot of simple saw synth sounds. In case you're a synth person, you'll probably know what I'm talking about there. There was those kind of simplistic sounds, but it kind of just all worked. And like I say, it worked partly in that it regressed me back to those memories of old J-pop. So maybe if this wasn't a sound that you've ever heard before, then it might sound a little bit, maybe a little harsh on the ears or a little bit weirdly twee. But if you can kind of hear the pedigree of J-pop songs that this is winking back to, then it kind of feels like it has an immediate relevancy as a sort of nostalgia trip, if nothing else. I thought that the writing was in line with that. It was quite simple. Really, you didn't get much more than a melody to take you through most of it, and a very simple sort of chord progression, chord patterns going on there. There wasn't even anything musically complicated outside of that. You know, there was no real twiddle, there was no real over-intricacy, but I think that was all very deliberate. This song was going for being simple, punchy, kind of very stripped-back sort of thing. And that sort of gave rise, I think, to the fact that you could see that they could just have fun with it in the video. I mean, you could get the feeling there was a real sense of fun, and all the band members were sort of dancing around while the lead singer appeared to be quite capable as a dancer, which shocks me. I don't know why. You just kind of, I don't know, I just kind of think if singing and dancing, yes, those are qualities that often go together if you're in like musicals and stuff, but you tend to just think of a singer as being a singer and a dancer as being a dancer. So that was really good, well, with exception to like idol groups or, you know, okay, I've contradicted myself, but you get my point, especially in a band. So I got to say that I just found there was an infectious fun quality to it that elevated the song. I think the song, like I said, the song benefited from a lot of things that aren't necessarily part of it. One was the nostalgia value, the second one was the fun value, and the third one was just being so different from the last song I'd heard by them. So I think it's benefiting sort of vicariously through things that are not necessarily down to the way it's written, produced, or performed. However, if you were just to take it on those cold, hard merits, it's good. It's catchy enough to be a worthy little pop song. It sounds good enough to be engaging and to be fun. yeah, it doesn't really do anything where you're going to write home about it. It doesn't do anything that's going to change anyone's world, but it is going to put a smile on the face. It certainly felt, I mean, you can tell me by watching the reaction, but it certainly felt to me like it was putting a smile on my face. So I enjoyed it, and I think that a lot of other people would. And I think especially if you were listening to an album that included songs like the one we heard before, and then this came on, as long as the album's flowing well, then it would be a wonderful welcome change. Variation, like I say. So I personally have nothing really too bad to say about this, except for the fact that I can understand that this would alienate anyone who perhaps wanted something a little bit more complex, or maybe didn't really find it easy to get into that sort of more old school J-pop sound, or maybe just didn't have a point of reference for it. But maybe, you know, horses for courses, this suits a certain market. So let me know. This is a really interesting point now to see what you guys think. Get in the comments and tell me what you think. Music, as always, is subjective to opinion, and our opinions are, after all, based not only on what we like, but also, you know, the things that we've got used to growing up and the things that we're used to hearing before. So is this a sound that you find familiar? Do you like it? Do you dislike it? Does it remind you of anything else? Is it something where you found it quite a shocking change, or just didn't really notice it at all? Did you find it too simple, too complicated? Get in there, tell me what you think, and try and flesh it out, so hopefully we can have some good conversation on this one. As always, if you want to follow any more of what we do, then feel free to like, subscribe, and you can check out any of the social medias linked in our description below all of the videos, as well as they have quite a lot of people from our community buzzing around talking about Japanese music all the time, so it's always great to have more people on there. And a big thank you to everyone who supports our Patreon, because that is the whole reason why we're still here. So thank you to all of you guys. A big thank you to yourself for making it through to the end of this video, and until I see you hopefully soon in Japan for the next one, for now, ciao ciao.